BOMISpirit. This is going to be the Mars 2022 Retrograde Survival Guide. I'm very excited to do this video. I used to do a lot of energy shift readings and then my life got crazy and I haven't been able to get back into that same groove. Also, don't mind the background. I've been doing some reorganizing and so my recording spot is not totally set up yet. Excuse me, but things to come. Those of you who have shared, liked, and subscribed, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to drop a like if you are really digging the content. It really does help my videos. It really does help my videos circulate. Before we get started, just one more thing. You guys can hear my voice is kind of raspy. I've been having all kinds of interesting upper chakra respiratory stuff going on. I'm a lot better, but my voice is not quite back to where it was, so I might have to stop and drink tea or whatever. So just letting you know. If it seems like the video suddenly fades out and then back in, that's because I had to take a minute and I edited that moment out. Okay, I'm going to talk about the astrology and my own interpretation of what this retrograde is bringing for the collective, and also kind of just what to be aware of with this retrograde period and how to best utilize it for yourself. I love astrology, it's fun, and I like to share. If there's energy, physical energy and time, and my voice can handle it, I'll do cards and stuff as well. Okay. As I say my voice, hold on. Oh, it's so hot. And I'm already really into celebrating Halloween, even though it's technically September, but who cares? It's practically here anyway. I feel like I'm already living in October. My tea's too hot, so I'm going for water. I'm also a Scorpio, October Scorpio, so I'm biased. I love Halloween. Okay, let's talk about Mars retrograde. So for those who are new to astrology and you don't really understand pre-shadow, post-shadow, I want to talk about that first. So anytime we have a planet that goes retrograde, there's always a pre-shadow phase where it's building up to that retrograde energy, then the retrograde period of time, and then the post-shadow where it's already stationary direct, but it's getting back to normal function. Now, how to interpret this for yourself and how to utilize this for yourself. Think about the pre-shadow period of time before the retrograde period as the time when you start to become aware of what you're going to deal with in the retrograde period. You'll start to see certain themes or situations come up in the pre-shadow period of time that you're going to be really challenged with. Excuse me. That you're going to be really challenged with during the retrograde period. And then the post-shadow is for integration. The post-shadow is, okay, that was a little crazy than I thought it would be. It was a little challenging, but I learned a lot. Let me cement these lessons and move on, move forward. Okay, that's post-shadow period. So pre-retrograde, post, starting to see what's going to be happening. Oh my God, this is very challenging. Oh, okay. Learned, moving on now. Just think of it like that. Now, anytime we have Mars retrograde, that happens about every 2 years. Normally, when Mars goes retrograde, it's a time where we're not really supposed to be starting new things, or it can be hard to take action or feel like we have a lot of physical vitality, because it's a time to really reflect on those things. It's a time to reflect on how we take action, how we assert ourselves, how we move about in the world. It also is a time to kind of go within with our own inner Mars energy, inner war, active energy. So any kind of inner conflicts or repressed anger, those kinds of things, like shadowy Mars energies, it's time to reflect on that. Now, because it's in Gemini, it's going to bring in lessons around insights, clarity, and lessons around a few things. One being communication. That's going to be the biggest thing, because it's Gemini. How we communicate. Are we communicating our truth? Have we left things unsaid? Have we had trouble saying things? Have we had trouble asserting our voice, asserting our truth? That sort of stuff. So communication, number one. The other thing is plans. Plans, coordinating, logistics. That's also going to be a part of that, in the realm of procrastination, distraction. Are we following through on things? We get all these ideas and they're awesome, but do we actually integrate them? Do we ground them? Do we put them to paper? Or do we do anything with them? Or are we just kind of ADDing it all the time and just being like, okay, well, that was an idea, that was an idea, that was an idea. And then we don't follow through, and we just put things off, or we distract ourselves with other things. We don't think about these things that come to us, right? The last thing is knowledge and truth. Knowledge, truth, and understanding. Do we utilize these things? Do we ignore these things? Are we learning? Are we actually learning when we're in certain circumstances? Are we learning from our mistakes? Do we ignore our own truth? Do we ignore our own inner knowledge and inner understanding? Those things. So those are going to be the three biggest things: communication, plans, coordinating, follow through. And do we actually utilize things that we learned? Do we utilize things we already know? Do we utilize knowledge and wisdom and truth and understanding and all of that? You can even put education there. Just like one little tidbit though about Mars retrograding in Gemini. This is going to be a little bit more this is going to be very different depending on like where you're at in your life and where you live, and also what's going on in your own like natal charts. Gemini rules local. It rules like the neighborhood. Like your immediate environment and vicinity, not your home because that's Cancer, but like the surrounding network, Gemini, network, including short distance travel. So depending on where you have Gemini in your charts or what you have going on in your life right now, especially as it pertains to the lessons around communication, follow through and planning, and then utilizing knowledge and information properly, you might experience delays with your car or bus travel, like getting around like your local spots, like running your errands, like things like that might actually be kind of difficult during Mars retrograde in Gemini. Just a little tidbit. Not all of us are going to experience that. It's also a very long retrograde period. The pre-shadow starts on September 3rd this week, which is why I want to do this video this week. And the post-shadow doesn't end until March 15th. And even then, Mars is still going to be in Gemini. Like Mars is sitting in Gemini, I think, for an entirety of like 6 months. But the retrograde from pre to post is from, early September of this year to mid-March. So what is that? No, that feels like it's 6 months. Wait a minute. That feels like it's 6 months. No, that is 6 months. Okay. Wow. So Mars is actually sitting in Gemini longer than 6 months. It's a long time. So I'm going to give you guys the dates and degree ranges, and then we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. I'm going to break down the pre-shadow, the retrograde, and the post-shadow. September 3rd, Mars goes into pre-shadow retrograde at 8 degrees of Gemini. This whole retrograde cycle is bouncing between 8 and 25 degrees Gemini. So look to your personal natal charts to see where that falls in your houses. For some, it might overlap between two. That's where Mars is going to be doing its retrograde thing in your personal life, okay? For me, that's my 12th house. Not nearly as fun as some of the other houses. Anyway, so yeah, September 3rd, Mars goes retrograde in Gemini at 8 degrees. On October 30th, it officially goes retrograde at Gemini, 25 degrees. On January 12th, it goes stationary direct at Mars, 8 degrees Gemini, and then it leaves the post-shadow March 15th at Mars, Gemini, 25 degrees. Saying all those are back to back was like blah blah blah. I also highly encourage you to get a notebook. A lot of people who like watch my videos, especially my patrons, where I also get into other like astrology stuff and we really sit down and get to like the nitty gritty, they love having notebooks to just keep track of stuff for themselves. So by all means, pause and go get your notebook. Yeah, so that's what you can expect for this Mars retrograde. The other thing I want to mention, because it is in Gemini, and we have a couple aspects that are really important for the period of the Mars retrograde period. I swear to God, this Mercury retrograde that's coming is already messing up my speech. Mutable signs, Gemini's first and foremost, then Pisceans, then Sag, and then Virgo. You4, not saying it's just on your sun sign, but like if you have like a bunch of placements in these signs, if your chart's mostly mutable or you have got like stelliums going on, you're gonna really feel this more so than other signs. And I actually think you guys might struggle the most just because of, especially like Mars square Neptune is like a really big aspect, and that's gonna be the hardest deal of this Mars retrograde. I think you guys are gonna have the hardest time, or at least you're gonna feel this the most intensely. I think fixed signs are probably gonna have the easiest time. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. Not easiest. I think you're actually going to have the most to gain. The most to gain. I know my fixed signs have been struggling a bit with like having a direction, having a purpose, a lot of like financial stuff I've been noticing with fixed signs. And this Mars retrograde is going to help you guys out tremendously with that. It's going to show you the light, so to speak. Cardinal signs, we'll see how you guys fare. Because, yeah, there's like none of the aspects that are super important are hitting cardinal signs. Oh, except Libra. Libra, you're kind of in the mix a little bit. Not a lot, but just a smidgen. I think you guys are probably gonna have the easiest time. I think my cardinals are gonna have the easiest time, but we'll see. Report back after 6 months. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So just focusing on the pre-shadow period, this is going to be from September 3rd to October 30th. Okay. Now this is the period of time where things will start to show up. Certain themes, certain relationships, certain circumstances, they're going to be highlighting certain things to you within the realm of communication. Like, again, how you communicate. Do you hold things back? Do you repress things? Do you have difficulty, utilizing your voice in ways you need to? How you utilize knowledge and truth and understanding and information. Do you actually pay attention to that stuff? Do you ignore it? Do you learn from your mistakes? Those things. And then follow through, focus, discipline. Yeah, those are the 3 biggies. So just we'll keep an eye out for that from now until the end of October, okay? Now, in early September, not this week, but next week, when Mercury goes retrograde into Libra, it briefly interacts with Mars, briefly in a trine, which is actually really positive. Trines are like an amplified positive energy. That's how I look at trines. It's like it takes positive energy and it just goes, amplifies it, or it brings positive energy to maybe some difficult placements. Now, because Mercury is retrograding, this is like a little funky, where normally this aspect would give like quick mind, like, right? Like a lot of like mental energy, especially with problem solving, working with Gemini and Libra. I think this is going to be a little murky. I think it might make retrograde a little bit easier in the beginning. But that trine is brief. It does come back though. So this is an aspect to keep in mind throughout the retrograde period. Mars trine Mercury shows up a couple times during this whole retrograde period, and I'm going to mention every time it does. So we have this brief, short-lived, like decent feeling of, okay, we can figure things out. We're okay. We're on top of shit. Then we hit the end of September. Oh man, my throat. Hold on, let me check my teeth. Oh, the cup is so hot. I think that's really the problem. The cup is just so hot. Yeah, the cup is hotter than the tea. Okay. Oh, it's a little better. All right, so then we hit the end of September. September 25th, we have the new moon in Libra, which has an aspect to Jupiter, which I think is going to be kind of interesting, but I don't want to focus on that. I'm just giving you a little tidbit of what else is going on in the context of things. Mars goes trine with Saturn. This is probably the second most important aspect of Mars retrograde. Mars trine Saturn appears at the end of September. It peaks on November 28th. Yeah. Peaks on November 28th. We're talking September right now. It peaks on November 28th. It will be present for about half of Mars retrograde period of time. This aspect is going to make this Mars retrograde a little easier. Like, I'm actually really happy that this is present. This aspect helps to bring a sense of stability, a sense of we can be stable, we can be resilient, things are going to be okay, but only through hard work and follow through and commitment, plans and coordination, right? One of the big takeaways of Mars retrograde. So pay attention to Aquarius, obviously pay attention to Gemini, but what those signs are for you personally, because for some of us, you know, there are certain signs that we hold a lot of importance to, whether it's because it's our North Node or it's a stellium of ours, or it rules a house we have a lot of personal challenge and difficulty in. So pay attention to that. Like if you struggle with procrastination, distraction, all of that, like that's always been a big thing for you, this Mars retrograde is going to be major for you, especially if you have a lot of fixed energy or important placements with Aquarius or Gemini. But this aspect is like a saving grace. It really is. Now, at this point in time, at the end of September, Saturn is still retrograde, while Mars is building up to the retrograde energy. In October, Saturn will go direct. And so this aspect ebbs and flows, like from weak to strong during the retrograde period. But just know that it is strongest on November 28th, and we're going to get there. But just want you to know. Then we hit the beginning of October. October and November are by far the most challenging months in this entire 6-month cycle. I can't even lie. Like, can't even lie to you. Yeah, October, November, the roughest months in the next 6 months. At least just looking at Mars. I looked at a bunch of other stuff too, trying to think and consider about other things, but yeah, it's gonna be rough, especially because we also enter eclipse season in October and November with Scorpio and Taurus, with the new moon Scorpio, full moon Taurus, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute. But like, and it coincides with why this particular time is difficult with Mars retrograde. But yeah, so just know that October and November are gonna be the roughest, most challenging. I'll just say most challenging. October 1st, Saturn square Uranus peaks. Saturn square Uranus, I've talked about this a lot in the weeklies, but for those of you who are new and this is your first video, hello. Saturn square Uranus was with us through 2020 and 2021. In my opinion, it was one of the aspects that was really contributing to the feelings of being restricted, to having external forces. When we think Taurus, which is where Uranus has been, and then we think Saturn, it's like both of those speak institution. But yeah, institution, authority, power, domination, like that kind of stuff. That Aquarius kind of does too a little bit with Saturn being there. But Uranus likes to shake shit up and like be rebellious, right? So when you have a Saturn square Uranus with these signs, it creates this feeling of, I want freedom. I want freedom. I want independence. I want autonomy. I want to do what I want to do. But then suddenly things outside of you prohibit that. Or change happens that you don't want to happen, or you're trying to initiate change that you do want, and then that can't happen for some reason. It's this feeling like everything you want, you're getting the opposite. And the more freedom you want, the more pushback and restriction you're getting from external forces. Not like from yourself and not from what you're doing, but literally like things will just come up and you're just like, why am I getting fucked with right now? Like that's the kind of feeling of Saturn square Uranus. Because it also has Aquarius and Taurus, that also brings into account money, economy, currency, changes and upheavals and things of that nature, travel, technology, internet issues, and again, governmental institutional issues as well. So that's all Saturn square Uranus. So we've been building this energy a little bit for like the last month, feels generous, maybe last couple weeks. We've really been building this energy. Come October 1st, we peak. Now, it doesn't mean that something bad is going to happen on October 1st. It's just it's just a cycle of energy. So through September up to October 1st, we're building that pressure of feeling like we don't have control and we're kind of like pinned in a corner and we just want to be free and do our thing. And then it starts to dissipate. But it's an intense energy and it doesn't feel good. It feels yucky. It doesn't feel good. Now, the next day, Mercury goes direct in Virgo. So it's an interesting time because we have this feeling of that pressure of restriction and from external forces and things outside of our control, right? From society, just say society, with Saturn square Uranus. But then we have Mars trine Saturn, which is like still present, which is helping us to feel like as long as we work hard and put our, I can always get this phrase wrong, nose to the grind. That's not the phrase. I really feel like that's not the phrase, but maybe it is. Just put our heads down and do what we got to do, then we'll be successful, then we can succeed. And then we get a little bit of this clarity with Mercury going direct. So it's interesting because it's a lot of pressure, but we feel a little ballsier. We feel a little bit more confident in ourselves, okay? To follow through on things and get things done. Then we hit mid-October. This is about October 9th. This is where we get Mars square Neptune. This is the most important aspect of the entire 6-month period, and it's the toughest. Mars square Uranus brings fear. It forces us, not forces us, it puts us in a position, and we can accept it or not, right? And that'll make it easier or not, how we accept it or not. It puts us in a position to face our fear. Face our fear, face our own illusions, delusions, fantasies, things we've been repressing emotionally, especially when it comes to anger and things that we haven't said or spoken. Okay, so it ties into a lot of what this Mars retrograde is about, and it's prevalent from October 9th to the end of November. So almost just as, well, actually Mars trine Saturn's longer, but still present for about half the time. Yeah, that Mars square Neptune is gnarly, and that one peaks on November 18th. You see where I'm going with this whole October, November thing? Yeah, not so fun. Yeah, so just know that that's present. Then we hit end of October. We're not even in retrograde yet. And we hit end of October. The 23rd, Saturn goes direct, which is going to feel good, actually. I think Saturn going direct is going to feel nice. 2 days later, we do have the new moon in Scorpio, which is a partial solar eclipse happening at 2 degrees. Here's what's interesting around this period of time. So around this period of time, we have a grand trine happening with this new moon, with Mars, with Mercury, and with Saturn, all in air signs. Mars is in Gemini, Mercury is in Libra. See that trine coming back, the Mars trine Mercury is coming back, right? And Saturn's in Aquarius. When we have a grand trine, that tends to bring big blessings or big gifts when it comes to that particular element, which is the element of air, which is like clarity and communication and understanding and all of that. So there's a lot of promise there, but we still have a lot of this fear, a lot of needing to face our fear with Mars square Neptune. And at the same time, the new moon is also going to be conjunct Venus in Scorpio, very tight conjunction. So Venus, and so basically what I'm getting at is we have a lot of beautiful, positive, like we're supported, we're stable, we're going to get there, we're going to get clear on things, especially when it comes to communication and how to follow through on things. But at the same time, it's a lot of darkness surrounding it. It's a lot of darkness, shadowy, fear-based, illusionary stuff surrounding it. So the way that I was kind of looking at this is we can persevere. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We can face ourselves. We can face the things about ourselves that have been repressed. We can face the things about ourselves that we don't want to admit, where we've been too fantastical or where we've been maybe overly practical and like not really being honest and true to ourselves, are both extremes. And just face that shit. Face that shit, own it, and be like, okay, it is what it is. I got it. I'm learning. I'm moving on now, right? Now, this is an eclipse energy, which is going to last, the post shadow of an eclipse lasts a very long time. For a normal moon cycle, it's like a couple weeks, right? For an eclipse, it's months. And so this is happening during this Mars retrograde period. And it's no coincidence, right? Because this is literally like, all right, I'm in the dark, I'm in darkness, I'm loving my darkness, I see my darkness, I'm cool with my darkness. I see the gifts of my darkness. Like that's this new moon Scorpio. While the full moon Scorpio we had back in May, I don't know if y'all remember that one, but the full moon Scorpio back in May, that eclipse was rough. That was rough. I know it wasn't just me. I know like everyone I was talking to about it felt the same way. Brought up a lot of karmic stuff, a lot of dark stuff, a lot of sad stuff, a lot of heavy stuff. This is going to be a little bit more liberating. This is going to be a little bit more empowering. Now there's going to be like some sexual energy there too, because it's like Venus is tightly conjunct the new moon. But just know, as we are getting ready to go into this Mars retrograde period, this is a gift. Okay? This is a gift of, you can persevere in the darkness. Any dark night of the soul, any crazy shit you're going through, you can persevere as long as you face it head on. That's the biggest takeaway going into this Mars retrograde period of time. Just face it head on, your shit around communication and repressing your own truth, how you procrastinate, distract yourself, or you don't follow through on things that you want, or you don't follow through on your own ideas, and also how you ignore truth and knowledge and wisdom, even if you've had to learn shit over and over and over. Okay? All right. Then we enter the retrograde. Comes in the retrograde. October 30th, Mars goes retrograde at 25 degrees of Gemini. Now, again, October, November, roughest months for sure. We start off this retrograde period with another eclipse, the full moon Taurus eclipse, happening at 16 degrees. This one's going to be rough. This one's going to feel a little bit like the full moon Scorpio did in May. So we start off with like a hurrah, we got this sort of energy. And then we move into like a, oh shit. Kind of like, oh, shit's getting real kind of energy. We still have Mars square Neptune. We still have that fear, having to face the fear, face the illusions, face the bullshit, be honest with yourself, get real with yourself. But then with the full moon eclipse, we have an opposition to Uranus and Mercury, and we have a square Saturn. Wait, is that right? No, it's conjunction, excuse me. It's a conjunction to Uranus and opposition to Mercury, and we have a square Saturn. That brings impulsive energy, stubbornness, irrational thought, control issues with authority, conflict. A lot of conflict is probably going to be coming up at this time. So it's going to feel like how the full moon Scorpio felt like emotionally, deeply internal, like that. This is going to feel very external. Like you're actually almost like it's very like reminiscent of kind of like the last couple, like not weeks, but like the last week or so, people were a little cray-cray. People want to be a little cray-cray around this time. A lot of clashing, a lot of like head bashing, a lot of that, and how you deal with that is up to you. How you communicate, how you stick with your truth, and how you can adjust accordingly, adapt. Use that adaptability of Gemini. Geminis are very, very adaptable. Use that during this period of time. Then we hit like, well, I guess this is really mid to late November. So from November 8th to November 28th, this is the peak of those two aspects I was talking about. Mars square Neptune and Mars trine Saturn. The 18th is when Mars square Neptune peaks, that fear, the having to face our shit. That's when that peaks. Then on the 23rd, we have a new moon Sag that has some aspects going on that I want to talk about. But then after that, Mars trine Saturn peaks. So we have peak, and in the middle we have a new moon that has some aspects going on. So the biggest chunk of November is when we're going to be hit the hardest. So arguably November is going to be the hardest month, but October, November are going to be collectively rough. Okay? So let's talk about that new moon Sag. The new moon Sag is interesting because it aspects Jupiter in a trine. So Sag, which is ruled by Jupiter in a new moon, and then it's trine Jupiter. That's a lot of optimism. That's a lot of luck. That's a lot of feel-good energy that we're getting in the middle of these extremes. So it's like pressure, sigh of breath, and then pressure, kind of like sandwiching here, okay? So again, we're getting a lot of help. We're getting a lot of assistance with this retrograde period. It's all about how you utilize it. It's all about how you keep your state of mind, and if you're being real with yourself. If there's one piece of advice I would take away from all of everything that I'm giving you, take this time to be real with yourself. Take this time to be super fucking honest about anything that you have not owned up to, you have not been honest to yourself about, you've been repressing, you've been denying, you haven't been acting with integrity or honesty, like all of that. Just be real with yourself. Be real. Be real. That'll be the title of this. Be real. So like I said, at the end of November, Mars trine Saturn peaks. That's going to be a really nice little breath of fresh air too. Because as that's peaking, Mars square Neptune, like the fear aspect, like the having to face our shit, is starting to get kind of weak. So it's starting to kind of go away. And then we have this aspect who's like really making us feel stable, making us feel like we got this as long as we persevere and work hard and do right. Then we hit December. This is where needing to be real with yourself also plays into factor, because we have a full moon Gemini on December 7th. Full moon Gemini with Mars retrograde Gemini. And yes, they are very tightly conjunct. They're both at 16 degrees, both of them. So this is not just a time to, like, yes, be really honest with yourself, which obviously it is, but also to reflect, get some clarity on where you've been up until this point with this whole Mars retrograde journey. You know, if it's been really challenging for you, or it's been hard, or you've been down on yourself, like, this is a time to really sit with your feelings and get some clarity there. Okay. But the other thing that's interesting too is also about how you deal with communicating your emotions. There's going to be a good period of time to reflect on if you're impulsive with it, or if you're completely repressive about it, to have a little bit more maturity and self-control when it comes to just impulses, and being okay with just expressing yourself, honestly. Then we go to beginning of January. This is right before the retrograde period ends. On January 6th, we have the full moon in Cancer. This one's going to be very emotional too, but this one's all about communication. All about communication. Around this time, Mars will be trine Venus, and under the full moon, we have Mercury and Uranus aspects in a positive support system. So new ways of communicating with people and within relationships. And there's going to be a lot of potential for new relationships around this time too. So allow for people to teach you things. Might even be people leaving, because we're also ending the retrograde period of time. And if someone came into your life in the pre-shadow or during retrograde, they might be leaving. Not everybody, but just know that sometimes people come into our life to just kind of give lessons here or there as needed. We also have the Mercury retrograde starting out this We also have Mercury retrograding in Libra right before we jump into Mars pre-shadow retrograde, and that brings people back sometimes too. So just something to keep in mind. Someone comes back from your past during this whole 6-month period of time, or you meet somebody new, just keep in mind, just have that awareness that they could be coming in to teach you something around all of these lessons. Okay. Yes, especially because it's a full moon Cancer on January 6th. Emotional, but also very healing. Very, very healing. And then Mars officially goes stationary direct on January 12th at 8 degrees of Gemini. And we finally go into integration, where we understand the shit we've been through. We've grown a little bit. We've learned some stuff. This is just integrating it into our lives, integrating it into our being from January 12th to March 15th. That's 2 months of integration time. Now, when I was looking at these aspects, there actually wasn't a lot that I wanted to talk about. We have some big shifts that are happening too. Like Uranus goes direct on January 22nd. Saturn moves into Pisces on March 7th. I think by that time Jupiter's already back in Aries after retrograding into Pisces. Yeah, it is. So a couple big shifts happening there. But for January, with the Aquarius new moon happening on the 21st, just know that around that time, it's going to feel a little bit like everything's kind of not personal, is almost what I want to say. I think things are going to start to feel like we can really get down to business. We can get it back to brass tacks. Like Mars is direct again. We can go, we can do, we can act. We understand the things that we needed to work on in the realms of communication, not holding back, following through, not procrastinating, not distracting, having, whatever it is we need to be in that mode. We get it now. We understand now, and we can take that into whatever we're doing moving forward. But yeah, around this time, because we have Venus conjunct Saturn, both in Aquarius, it's a kind of a detached emotional time, and it's a big focus on business and career, because we also have some Capricorn stuff going on too, along with Uranus. So yeah, if you're craving emotional connection, don't take it personal. People don't want to give it to you right now. Okay. Moving on, what other things I wanted to mention? February. The full moon in Leo in February. Again, this is all integration time. You're just integrating shit you've been through Mars retrograde. Okay. 6 months prior, we had Lionsgate, which doing this video, Lionsgate was not that long ago, right? But we're like, now we're 6 months out, like in the timeline of astrology, right? Practically. 6 months prior was Lionsgate with New Moon Leo. We had amazing aspects at that time. We had amazing support as we were entering the portal. I'm talking about the beginning of the portal, like July 28th, I believe it was when we had New Moon in Leo. We had Uranus conjunct the North Node, super activating, really opening the gates for us when it comes to change and establishing new paths and new directions. We also had Venus working with, I believe it was it Sirius or Regulus? It might have been Regulus, which is like all about following the heart and following your passions. So whatever intentions you set for Lionsgate or New Moon Leo, February 5th, full moon Leo, here comes some challenges. It's a time to reflect on the previous 6 months of what Lionsgate brought for you, what you've been faced with, what you've been challenged with, especially in the realm of relationships, because we do have a strong square with Venus and Mars. Not fun. When Mars is square Venus, it's really not fun. Also under the full moon Leo, we also have a square with Uranus. So really challenging changes or needed changes that need to happen, and accepting them might be a little hard under this full moon, but just about having that humility. I really want to say humility. That's what's coming to me, is like a channeling humility and modesty to be like, okay, I recognize where I need to kind of redirect some things to get things back on track with what you had intended from New Moon Leo and Lionsgate. Okay, it's a tweaking, but there's something about this that feels really like, I can feel it in my heart space. Humbling, really humbling, and expect a lot of issues in relationships around this time too, because that square Venus, I think that's why it's humbling. You might be realizing this through way of other people or other people communicating it to you, and it might be hard for the ego to swallow that pill. Okay, but still just as important. And then as we start to approach the end of the post shadow, the end of integration time, like end of February, beginning of March, we do have Mercury trine Mars, and air signs again, except this time Mercury is in Aquarius. Like I said, like certain things will repeat and like flow in and out during retrograde periods, which is why I like to look at them, because it's cool to see the pattern. Yeah, so that trine with Mercury, that's all about communication. At the same time though, we do have a square with Uranus going on between Mercury. So just keep integrating your new ways of communicating, keep integrating being fully honest, speaking with integrity, and not repressing anything, not repressing yourself, not ignoring the truth. Sometimes we have a good solid understanding of reality and truth, and we just will flat out ignore it. Either we're trying to avoid conflict, or it's just easier, or we're holding on to an expectation or an idea that's unrealistic. This is all part of Mars retrograde, and we're just not following the truth because we're holding on to certain things, or we're avoiding certain things. It's not good. It's like, doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. It always makes things a little harder. And then at the end of the day, you still get faced with the truth and you're like, damn it, I knew this the whole time. I had that truth the whole time. These are lessons around Mars retrograde, this particular Mars retrograde. Okay. Oh, that's right, I forgot. And then as we end the integration period, guess what? Guess who's back? Mars square Neptune. Mars square Neptune is back. Why is it back? So we can really integrate facing ourselves and get better at it. It's not the only time we're gonna have to face ourselves. We should always be facing ourselves, right? We should always be doing that. We should always have that. But it's a little bit of a like, hello, remember me? Remember in November and October of 2022, when I tried to get you to just sit in darkness and face reality, come down from the clouds, or get grounded and get practical, right? Or just look in your heart, whatever it is. It's like when I forced you to be real with yourself. It's just a time to be like, yeah, I can be real with myself all the time. It's cool. I understand. I got this now. Yeah, so just know that that's there. Okay, so that's the entire Mars retrograde period, 6 month cycle at 40 minutes, no less. I know it was a lot of information. Some people really like the whole nitty gritty part of it. I do. Personally, I do. But yeah, I'd really just watch out for October, November for when things are going to get like pretty gnarly or pretty intense. And then from January to March, it's really just integration. So if you're faced with these things again that you've already been through during the Mars retrograde, it's just to integrate. It's just to get you to see, can you really integrate these things into your being and reality and walk with them moving forward and honor them moving forward, or you're just going to keep falling back into old habits. Mars retrograde is very transformative. Every 2 years it happens. And you might notice that in your own life. Like every 2 years, you might go through a big change in some aspect of your life, depending on where Mars is transiting. It could be with work. It could be with your health habits, right? It could be with like dieting or exercise. It could be with like hobbies. Like maybe you change a hobby every 2 years or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's the astrology of it. I know we're pulling cards, right? My voice is holding up pretty well, so we're going to pull some cards. This is going to be a long video. Don't forget I got timestamps. I'm going to put that in the title. I kind of want to go collective and sign by sign. I kind of do. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? All right. Collective, collective, collective. What deck for the collective for Mars retrograde? I'm feeling Dreams of Gaia. Do I have Dreams of Gaia here? I do. Okay. I do. Okay. I'm not even gonna try to write down a timestamp. I feel like I always do it and then I throw the piece of paper away. God only knows what reason. Actually, no, I should do it. I should. All right. Okay. Okay, collective, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, collective and then signs. Any messages or insights for the collective regarding Mars retrograde? Any messages or insights for Mars retrograde for the collective? Actually, I'm going to move these notes over there. Okay. Let's see here. Journey. Not surprised that came out. All right, so Journey and there it is. The Seneschal in reverse. The Seneschal speaks of commitment. The Seneschal is like incredibly reliable. It's I will show up when I am told to show up or when I say I will show up, and then I will follow through and do exactly what it is I said I would do. It's honorable. It has integrity. It's also like a right-hand man energy, like very, like that's where the dependability comes in. It's about follow through. And here it is in reverse. Are you following through or are you not following through? Are you embracing just, this is where some of that distraction energy is coming into that I was talking about. I'm feeling it, like distracting, procrastinating. There's a lack of acceptance of just where you're at. Something that's also been very prevalent in the collective. Yeah, I'm feeling a lack of acceptance of who you are, where you are, what you have going on. If that isn't there, if you can't accept who you are, where you are, what you're doing, all of that, what's available to you, if you can't accept those things, how can you be committed to you? How can you be committed to just your life and your path and your journey if you're not accepting of this is who you are and this is where you're at? You can't. It's impossible. So for some, there might need to be a real moment with the self to really see yourself and to be okay with that. You know, sometimes people get caught up in grand ideas of you know, of the perfect life or the dream life, or wishing they were somebody else, instead of just really seeing who and what they are. There's also a missing out on gratitude, you know, when we're in that position where we're not seeing and accepting who we are, where we're at, all of that. There can be more sadness in that sense of just like life is just not great. Even depression and anxiety, because we're not having the gratitude for who we are, what we are, where we are, and what we have to work with. I think everybody has something in their life that they can be grateful for. Everybody. I think everybody on this planet can be grateful for something, even if it's just the gift of breath. You know, we have a lot to be thankful for, and it can be really easy to always wish for more or wish for other. But we all also have something that someone else wants. Also, that might also be another way to think about it. Every single person on this planet has something about themselves, who they are, where they are, all that stuff, and what they have, that someone else wants, even if it's minor. So might as well just start accepting this is where you're at now. For some, I'm also having a little bit of financial, this is a lot of messages coming in. I also feel like some financial issues, maybe like ignoring for the sake of stress. But if you're just really honest with yourself and you accept this is the trouble I am in, then you can actually do something about it and figure out a plan of action. Doesn't have to just apply to financial, but I'm feeling financial. Yeah. Accept where and who you are and what you got. And then you can actually find some joy in that. Find some freedom in that, and then do something about it. But that's why this is in reverse. That's why that's in reverse. All right, moving on. Any other messages or insights for the collective for Mars retrograde? Four of water in reverse. There's the ego. I keep feeling like ignoring, denial, distraction, procrastination. I keep feeling that over and over and over and over again. Yuck. All right, so another thing I'm picking up on is lashing out. It's interesting that I'm picking up on that in this card. Like, there's such an ignoring and not facing the self. It's interesting because he's holding a mirror, right? He's actually holding a mirror, but there's such a strong feeling here of not facing certain things. And I'm not saying like every single person who watches this video does not face themselves. Like, I'm not saying that. There are certain things that, as just in human nature, we have a hard time accepting or seeing about ourselves, even if we see other things. Okay, so just take it that way. But whatever that thing is for you, if this is resonating, you're trying so hard not to look at it that you're looking at other people. Maybe even projecting onto other people. You could even be on the receiving end of this, like of people in your life, like there's something about them that they're being really challenged with right now that they really don't want to look at. And so because they're not looking at it and they're being challenged with it, they're kind of freaking out. They're kind of in a state of being triggered. And so they're like projecting it onto you or lashing out at others. They're not emotionally dealing or being real with themselves. Okay. Any other messages or insights from Mars retrograde? Ooh, I didn't expect that. We've got the mother. Caretaker is what I just heard. Caretaker, taking care. We're going to get into that mother energy in a minute. Any other messages or insights? Oh, whoa. Hold on. Wait till you guys see. Oh, mama. Wow, right? Mother, father, basically emperor, empress, divine, masculine, divine, feminine, earth mother, sky father, masculine principle, feminine principle. Here we are. Here we go. With mother, I was getting caretaker. That's what I kept getting. I mean, obviously this is about the balance. This is about the balance of both. We need both. And Mars is all about the father energy, right? And that's what's under review. Well, every time we have a retrograde, you can even just look at it that way. Oh, Mars is under review right now. Masculine's under review right now. And looking over here, I kept getting like taking care, caregiver, caretaker, the one who loves, the one who nourishes, leaning into your heart, leaning into love, leaning into feminine energy, could be a really nice way to balance out this Mars period of time, this Mars retrograde period of time. Because if you can lean into that, then you can lean into emotional honesty. And this is an energy of having a hard time doing that. Okay? Some of you, this is really going to come down to relationships, especially if you have Gemini in a relationship house. And I'm going to get into the signs later after the collective message. Yeah. And I almost don't even want to say, like, I don't even really want to say, oh, your masculine and your feminine side. I feel like that's too rudimentary for what I'm feeling and trying to express. To face all of the self, and in particular things that you don't want to look at, it's looking at the fact that you are a complex being. Okay? It's not just masculine and feminine, it's beyond that. But these cards come out to represent the balance of the whole, even though we are beyond that understanding, right? Like, we all know there's more to us than just masculine and feminine. Like, we all know that by now, right? We're complex whole beings, and there's all kinds of patterns and things that connect and make us a person. But this is about reaching that state of wholeness through facing things you don't want to look at. What is it you're really afraid of? What is it you've been repressing? Especially when it comes to anger. Don't be shocked if during this retrograde period of time, people are really aggro, okay, and lashing out because they're ignoring something about themselves, okay, or you're reminding them of something that they don't want to look at. It's contained Mars energy. It can get very agitated, very irritated, okay? But repressed emotions, repressed truths, things you may even be ashamed about, things that you've been wanting to say and communicate, but you haven't allowed yourself to for whatever reason or another, procrastination, ADD. I say ADD because, okay, I'm not a mental health professional, but I think a lot of people will say that they have ADD, or tell themselves, I'll say it that way, tell themselves they have ADD, whether they're diagnosed or not, because it's the best label to describe their situation. I almost want to go on a whole tangent right here. I'm going to go on a tangent. Just a heads up. ADD, ADHD, it's a very interesting topic. I do think there are people that legitimately struggle with ADD and ADHD, but I do think there are a lot of people who are misdiagnosed, and I think there are a lot of people who either can't go through a diagnosis or don't want to, because it's like, who wants to spend the money and the time and the energy, and I get it, but will just see themselves that way, make it part of their narrative because they don't have a word to describe what their experience is or how they see themselves. And this is also where I start, we can get into the whole realm of like, just get away from the labels. You just are who you are. That's kind of how I feel about mental health. It's a whole other topic. You can put labels on things, but you are who you are. Doesn't matter if you see yourself as ADD, ADHD, or whatever. Like, you are who you are. You react how you react, and that's just the truth. Facing truth. Anyway, but I do think there are a lot of people who are also misdiagnosed because they actually just suffer from a lot of trauma, and I think that it can show as ADD or ADHD, like trouble with making decisions or procrastinating or not following through, putting things off, speaking inappropriately, maybe even like having periods of time where they're like really hyper-focused or hypo-focused, right? Like underperforming or like overstimulated. I think a lot of those things can also just be manifestations of somebody who has just been traumatized too. So I don't know why I had to go on that spiel, but someone had to hear that. Anyway, getting way off track. Coming back, to deal with the father being under review, lean into the mother, lean into the feminine, allow yourself to be honest, allow yourself to be open, allow yourself to be vulnerable. Take that real look at yourself. Even if you're not dealing with people during this time, which I actually don't think relationships are the biggest thing during this whole Mars retrograde period. I really feel like it's like a you thing. Lean into that, because it's going to be a nice like space to hold yourself in, especially if for whatever reason some of these issues you have around communication, utilizing knowledge, following through on things has to do with shame. This is a great way to be like, it's okay, to comfort yourself, to love yourself, and soothe yourself through those realizations and through those acceptances. But anyway, this is just about moving further into wholeness by facing the self. Overall, we have the Crone. Also a very cool energy to come out with these two here as well, because I kind of look at this as the High Priestess card. The Crone is a very empowered energy, but she is an individual. She has freedom. She has sovereignty. She knows who the fuck she is, basically. She's done it all. Man and woman alike. Because obviously, you know, even though it's like woman in this card, this is a collective reading. This is an energy of, I've been through enough things, I've played enough roles, I've given, I've sacrificed, I've been taken advantage of, I've learned, I've matured, I know who I am. This is somebody who faces all of themselves and is not in any denial or any repression or anything about who they are. That is the Crone. Underneath that, we do have perception, which is beautiful. Open the eyes is actually what I just heard. Open the eyes, open the eyes, open the eyes, open the eyes, open the eyes to the self, open the eyes to the self, open the eyes to the self. That's what I keep hearing with that. Very, very beautiful. Wow, very powerful collective message there. I kind of just want to go right into the signs. I'm gonna go right into the signs. Okay. So the way I'm gonna do this, I'm going to do cards and astrology is how I'm going to do this. So, as I go through each sign, I'm going to base it off the rising. Now, I know not all of you know your rising sign, and I apologize, but that's also why I'm going to pull cards. Okay? Like just writing all the signs down, and I skipped one. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, not Sag, Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aqua, and Pisces, because I want to see where everything is occurring here. All right, so starting with Aries first. Okay, Aries. So for Aries rising, let's see here. That's third house for Gemini. Pisces is 12. This is my system. This is how I do it. Let me just write all these down first. Gemini is 3rd, Pisces is 12. And then the other one that's at play, Aquarius. Aquarius. Is there one more? Libra. Very minor though. Almost, actually, I'm not even going to count Libra. I'm not even going to count it. It's like so minor, and it's only in September. Well, yeah, mostly September and October. Anyway, moving on. Hi, Aries. Okay, so astrologically, let's see. And Saturn. So you're going to be going through some third house stuff. Okay, Mars is going to be retrograding through your third house. And that is, I mean, that is literally the house of Gemini. So that is literally all about communication, knowledge, sharing information, friendships, networks, acquaintances, short distance travel. That part of your life is going to be going through some challenges and going under review. So that you can really face yourself and in these contexts. And if there's anything you're suppressing around that stuff. Anything you haven't been able to follow through with on that stuff, whether it's following through on friendships and plans. It's actually just the epitome of like Mars retrograde Gemini because it's like literally happening in the third house, right? So just keep an awareness of that. The fact that Neptune is going through your 12th house though, and that's where we have some fears and illusions coming up. 12th house energy is very karmic. It's very karmic. It also is about resolution, illness, hospitalization. If you have any like fears of health or hypochondriac stuff or health issues, that you're going to be faced with it. I would also be very careful not to manifest illness by feeding into fear. That goes for everybody. But be very cautious about that. Aries, for you, I'm also literally just getting a fear of emotions. I hate to say that. That's just kind of how it's coming across. Yeah, it's kind of like a fear of feeling. Yeah, that's how it feels. Obviously, this isn't going to resonate for everybody. Afraid to just sit there and feel. It's okay to be scared of things. It's okay to be angry about things. It's okay to be sad about things. I don't know, I'm hearing lonely. It's okay to feel lonely. That's okay. It's a very human experience. The more you give yourself permission and know that it's okay to sit there and just feel, the easier it gets, okay? I actually think community, yeah, and community, technology, I feel more like work here, like work and business and big support systems, really beneficial for you during this Mars period. I feel like if you take the time to really honor these people, again, people like in your local community, or if you have like internet community in your internet community, charities, that sort of stuff. I keep feeling technology. I keep feeling technology with that. Making sure you're honoring people in these realms, especially if they're authority figures or if you work in these realms, make sure you do spend a lot of time and energy focusing on that during Mars retrograde, because it will be very beneficial for you. Okay? Okay. All right, so let's pull a card for Aries. Where are we going with? Are we going for an oracle deck? Ooh, yes we are. Okay. We're doing Big Bertha. Big Bertha. I love Big Bertha. Big Bertha disappeared for a while. Long story. Don't want to get into it. Don't need to get into it. Big Bertha is made up of the Starseed Oracle and the Ancestors and Angels Ancestors deck. All the decks I have are linked below, by the way. All right. Can I get a card for Aries, please? For Mars retrograde. I'm hearing this technology. I just heard social media. There's something taking place in social media, technology realm of things for you, Aries. I'd be wary of, because there's something there that, like, I think there could be beneficial opportunities. Again, especially with authority figures or people that like you might work for or mentor. I'm hearing mentor, mentorship. But I also feel shadowy, like me energies. I feel like naggy, gossipy energies. Don't get sucked in. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked in. You might have people stirring up drama for you during that time. I'm hearing accusations, so just be mindful. Can I get an oracle card for Aries for Mars retrograde cycle? Let's see. Ooh, Aries. Oh, you guys got, whoa. Am I taking all of these? No, just the top two. They came out like this. So we're just going to take the top two. Okay. If you're curious what the other ones were, we have big picture thinking. Ooh, Oracle. Wait for more information. Ooh, and She-Wolf. Unleash the wild within. But I'm not taking those because I was told not to. So these are your cards, Aries. We have Warrior and we have Stag. Be fearless and stand strong. Trust and thrive. I like it. I'm hearing Neptune again. Yeah, when Neptune comes up, it's going to bring up things that you're afraid of. Okay? And what I really feel with it is just like afraid to like just sit and feel. And also I'm getting like big health stuff there too for some of you. Face it. Get real. Get real. Face it. Realize that fear is literally an illusion, right? Don't let it overcome you, overtake you. Don't let it get you off track. Just stay focused. Stay focused, put energy and time into community, into authority figures, into people that you work for or mentor. That's, again, a big thing. And just be honest with yourself and stay the course. I like this. This is a very Saturnian cards coming out here for you. Your 11th house. Invest in your 11th house, okay? That trust is also to overcome fear with the stag energy. Stag is also integrity. Stag, elk energy. It's regal. It's committed. It's like kind of like a King of Pentacles energy. It's I can stay the course no matter what. I can show up no matter what. I can be relied upon no matter what. Yeah. Don't get distracted by people's crazy, okay? Okay, Aries. That was it. Let's do Taurus. Okay. Tauruses. Let's see. So for Taurus, that would be your second, right? Second, which means this would be 10th and 9th. Ooh, interesting. Oh. All right, Taurus. Oh, your faith is going to be, I actually want to say restored. I think your faith has been a little challenged. It may even be challenged in the beginning of the retrograde period, especially when we hit like October, November. But I literally just keep getting this feeling of that your faith has been challenged when it comes to what comes naturally to you, which is security and money, and establishing a life that feels good, feels cozy, where you feel taken care of. Taken care of. Where you have been the leader in that. There's something that you're really, really afraid of when it comes to this part of your life. Some deeply rooted fears there. And you haven't been honest about it. You've been in a lot of denial about it. I'm actually hearing worthiness for some of you. I'm hearing, what's the point? I feel like some of you have a deeply rooted fear. This is probably more for Chiron Tauruses too, of can you really truly establish something that lasts forever? Can you truly establish something that can provide security for a long period of time? Well, nothing lasts forever, but are you capable of that? Can you actually do that? Some of you, I think, have had issues feeling like you need to prove that to people, prove that to yourself. But I just feel like a lot of shame there. I feel a lot of shame and a lot of like feeling kind of small, like shying away from it. But you can. I feel like you actually like have achieved quite a bit for those that I'm speaking to, or you have a lot to show for your efforts, but there's this feeling like it's not enough. You don't have enough to show for your efforts, or you should have more for your efforts at this point. When it comes to like money, security, household, career, that sort of stuff. You feel like the legacy you envision for yourself, and maybe you envision for your family and even for other people, like your role in that legacy is not enough, even though you've done quite a bit. I think that's really what deep down what you're afraid of, almost being looked at like being interesting, being found out. Imposter syndrome is a thing I need to do a video on, getting some imposter syndrome with you. I want to say lean into your faith. Lean into your faith. Lean into knowing you're very capable. You have accomplished things. You have done things. You have established certain foundations, maybe nest eggs, but whatever you've contributed to your legacy, you've been doing it, and it's there and it's present. Even if your vision of it is not what it's appearing to be in the physical, maybe it's not supposed to. Maybe it's not supposed to. Maybe there's something better in store. But I really intuitively feel like you've done a lot. Interesting. There might be okay, thank you. For some of you, there might be big things that you have shied away from because you do have a little bit of this feeling of like, oh no, if I go for that, I will be found out that I can't do it. But I don't think it's true. but I don't think it's true. I think having a little adventure during this retrograde period of time for you is also going to be very beneficial. Go on a sojourn. Go travel a little bit, if you can. I think, going somewhere new, going somewhere exciting, or going somewhere that inspires you, or maybe going on a retreat, or going to learn from somebody for like a week or a couple weeks or whatever, like a seminar, workshop, something along those lines, just to get you out of that way of thinking and to get you to kind of see things from a new perspective. I think can get you to see yourself in a new perspective. Okay? All right. Let's pull cards for my Tauruses. Whew. Any messages or insights for Taurus? I'm seeing a Queen of Cups for you guys. Why am I seeing a Queen of Cups for Taurus rising? Why am I seeing Queen of Cups for Taurus, for Taurus, for Taurus? Leaning into that mother energy. Leaning into that mother energy. I feel like you need a lot of TLC. I feel like you almost need that maternal energy, like, around you, definitely from within. But I feel like you need someone to, like, just hold you and tell you the truth, encourage you. That's what it feels like to me. Like Tauruses need to be held a little bit during this Mars retrograde. You might come across somebody who's willing to do that for you. I feel like if you're brave enough and you're honest about some of these fears, you might be very surprised at the amount of support that you'll get in return, like emotional comfort. Anyway, Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. Can I get a card for Taurus, please? Ooh. Shapeshifter, that's a badass card. Transform and unveil your gifts. I want to say through belief is what I want to say. Transform and unveil your gifts. I really feel like you are meant to get into something new, or a new perspective is supposed to be born of all of this for you, but you have to seek it out. Like, that's definitely something I'm getting really strong for you. You got to seek it out. You have to be proactive in that. Again, go on a trip, travel, take a workshop or a seminar, or travel to a retreat or something. Like, take yourself out of your normal environment and do something new that's meant to expand your mind. That's meant to do that. I think you need a little bit of a shake up there just to get you to see the truth of what you're really capable of. I think it's going to help unveil some of this for you. Evolution. Your finances, your stability, your career, those things, I think, are meant to go through an evolution. Hold on one second. I can keep feeling this, like, I want more, I'm supposed to have more, I'm supposed to do more, I'm supposed to show more. I don't think it's about more. I think it's about different. I think it's about bringing something to the table you've been afraid to bring to the table. You haven't trusted yourself to bring to the table. And a new environment or mentor or something of that nature is going to shake that up for you. Okay? Wow, very powerful. Okay. Jemmy Gems. Okay, Geminis. So obviously, first house. My. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Intense. It's like, sorry. I really kind of had to breathe through that a little bit. And I'm not trying to make you nervous or anything like that. Geminis, I think during this Mars retrograde period, you're going to go through a guys, I'm back. Oh. So Geminis, you're going to go through a huge shift. Huge. Depending on how you handle it. I definitely feel like you're going to be challenged with your belief systems. Kind of similar to Taurus. But I think you're actually going to realize like your belief systems, possibly even your faith, maybe even certain things you grew up with, like your ethics, your ideologies, like the big things, the big core things, that there's some things about them that need to change. And it's going to affect how you see yourself, how you identify yourself, definitely how you express yourself, and definitely being really comfortable with your own shadow and with shame and things that you've done and things you feel guilty about. This feels like a big overhaul for you of just who you are as a person. Not saying that like you need to change, not saying that, but this just feels like a big evolution of Gemini, like as a being, as a person, as an individual. Excuse me. Just seeing what else wants to come forward. I think especially as it relates, excuse me. I think especially as it relates to, is it family? I feel like family's in the mix there. I feel like there's going to be some challenges and struggles with dating and social life. Is kind of how I'm feeling. But I feel like it's going to highlight to you like really like deep patterns or thought forms, again, belief systems that you've adopted from family or even like just generationally, that's just not true to who you are and has really kept you, I don't want to say off track, but kept you from fully embracing you. This was like a big overhaul evolution of Gemini, for sure. It's also okay to want the things you want. This is something that they're telling me needs to be said. It's okay to want the things you want. Even if they're weird. Sorry about all that noise. Even if they're weird, not acceptable, not socially acceptable, or hard to attain because they don't fit in today's society. It's okay to want those things. It doesn't make you weird. It also doesn't mean you're going to be alone. Like there's a loneliness that's coming up with that too. Almost like if I allowed myself to really follow my heart, and I allowed myself to really follow the things that I actually really deeply do want and desire, that can make me happy, then no one's going to want to be around me. It's not true. It's a lie. It's a narrative. It's not true. Just because other people have said that or made you think that doesn't mean it's true. And you might find people who are your people, right? If you allow yourself to embrace those things. But yeah, this is an evolution of Gemini. Okay. Let's pull a card for you guys. Here's our kitty cat. Oh, buddy. Hey, buddy. Got a little kitty cat right here. Okay, Gemini. I got a card for Gemini from Mars Retrograde. Too many. Thank you. It's literally exactly what I said. Elder. Move beyond ancestral patterns. Move beyond ancestral patterns. It's literally almost verbatim what I was describing to you. Whatever you've adopted, as far as your belief systems, standards, ethics, values are concerned, there's something about them or embedded in them or part of them that one is not true to who you are and your nature, but also might be coming from generational like wounding and trauma and things of that nature. I'm actually hearing I'm sorry is what I'm hearing. I am hearing like I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. That's big. Time to evolve as a entirety of your being. Gemini, your foundational belief system, essentially, but that's going to change who you are and how you identify yourself and the things you allow yourself to go for and how you follow your heart. You haven't been following your heart. In some way, you haven't been because of this stuff. Exactly what I was getting for you. So crazy. Okay. Cancer. Okay. Hey, Cancers. All right. So we got 12. Ooh. Ooh. I'm Cancer rising, so now I'm like, uh-oh. Wait, is that right? Wait a minute. Oops. Okay. Nope, there we go. Okay. Just double checking all my stuff. Okay. Okay. Cancers. Very similar to Gemini. Very similar to Gemini, but Cancer, this is, yeah, this is very similar to Gemini. This Mars retrograde period of time is about wrapping shit up. It's also about releasing a lot of patterns. It's also about closing things out. It's a lot of 12th house energy for you. Neptune is in Pisces, which is innately 12th house energy because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and that rules the 12th house. That's actually going through your 9th house right now, but Mars is going through your 12th house. So very heavy 12th house energy, and then Saturn's going through your 8th. So a lot of water, a lot of like underworld, intuitive, the emotional body, psychic awareness, that sort of stuff. But I just feel a lot of karmic energy between the 12th and the 8th houses. Past lives and karmic stuff is also wrapped up in that. So very, very similar to Gemini. Watch Gemini, by the way, if like there might be something in there for you. I just keep getting pulled back to that. Also, everybody should watch Gemini. It's very collective. Yeah. I also am hearing initiate. Why am I hearing initiate? How you initiate. How you initiate and how you complete things. Ooh, that's going to be under review for you, for sure. You're going to gain more understanding. And I feel like you're going to have a lot of progress here too, of understanding how and why you initiate certain things, projects, relationships, anything new in your life, right? But this completion part, I feel like the completion's lacking. I feel like me struggle a lot with follow through. Gaining more clarity so you can understand how to complete. So you can understand how to follow through on projects and with people and with things that you say, things that you want to do. There's also a lot of needing to really live through your heart's desire along, like very similar to Gemini. I feel like Gemini also has a lot more like fears around where they're going to end up. I don't know why that's coming up, but where they're going to end up. Cancer, with you, I want to say it's okay to have shifting truths. This is something that's kind of interesting. It's okay to have shifting truths. It's okay to recognize that you are an ever-changing being. Everybody is. But I don't know why there's a fear there. That's what I'm feeling. Like, yeah. Like in some way that invalidates you. If you change your mind on something, or if you believe one thing one day and believe something next. But that's part of being human. That's the human experience. It doesn't invalidate you. It doesn't make you any less capable or qualified in your job, or have less integrity. It doesn't imply that at all. It just means you're human. Okay? Interesting. All right, so let's get a card for Cancer. card for Cancer, please. For Mars retrograde. Whoa! Whoa! Which ones am I taking? This one. Okay. Card vomit. You guys have two. Ooh, Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down, time in nature, and then Hunter, track down your fears and desires. Face them, face them, face them. The motto of Mars retrograde. Face yourself. The real, okay? Yeah, with these cards coming out here, Cancer, it's basically just take time to really sit and really feel and really understand. You probably have like the most watery experience of all the signs, at least so far from what I'm looking at astrologically. With all that 12th house Neptunian scorpionic energy, take your time with it. Take your time with it. Take your time with it. I almost want to say, like, be four swords, be a hermit. I actually don't think interacting with a lot of people right now is going to be a good thing for you during this retrograde period. I'm not saying avoid people for 6 months. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just be aware. Because especially Cancers, you guys are very empathetic. It's really easy for a Cancer to dismiss their own desires and what it is they're feeling for the sake of other people. It's really easy for you guys to do that. This is not a time to be doing that right now. This is a time to recognize this person makes me feel like this. This situation brings this up. This situation pokes me here in a weird way. Like, it's time for you to be really in tune with that stuff. Okay? Okay. All right, Leo. Okay. Hey, Leos. So let's go ahead and see. Excuse me. Whoa. Whoa. Ooh, big fear coming up for Leo. So Mars is going through your 11th house. Okay. That's where you're under review, Leo. Around communication, anything that you suppress, how you utilize knowledge and information, or if you ignore these things, and how you follow through on things. And this is all in the 11th house. This is communities, this is friendship. It's also like just hopes and wishes, which I'm feeling really drawn to that for you. It would surprise me if you had oh, thank you. I was about to say, it would surprise me if you have trouble communicating these things or accepting these things, but I actually heard grandiose. And that's not to say you guys are grandiose individuals in a bad way. I'm not saying that. It's just the word I heard. I feel like it's more like grand dreams. Like grand dreams, grand wishes, fantasies, like that sort of stuff. I feel like it's very sobering that this Mars retrograde period is going to kind of bring you down from the clouds a little bit and be more practical, which I think is really good. We need a reality check sometimes if we are like thinking of something we want in a big way, or maybe putting something on a pedestal. Because when we do that, sometimes it also like puts it out of reach, right? It makes us feel like we're never going to attain that thing. So there's definitely coming down to earth with that. But big fear energy, though. Like big fear energy. Neptune's going through your 8th house. Excuse me. That to me just says like fear and paranoia. Neptune in the 8th house. Like that is not a comfortable feeling at all. It also can lead to having really unrealistic wants, and expectations can also really lean into that. But having Saturn in your 7th, Saturn again is kind of offering a place of stability for all of us during this time, which to me says partnerships, things that you are contracted to obligated to. Could even be work, but I really feel like it's more like people that you're obligated to and contracted to are going to be very grounding for you. So that's like your partners, your spouses, business partners. I would even argue children. It's not the house of children, but I would even argue that because you are obligated to them. You're very obligated to them. Excuse me. Yeah, your obligations. Your practical, worldly obligations will be very grounding for you during this time. Please honor them. Please pay attention to that. It might trigger some stuff for you. There's going to be a lot of fears coming up around feeling like you're not going to get the things that you really want for yourself or that you dream for yourself. But that's because it's a sobering realization that they might be unrealistic, or you might have unrealistic expectations of yourself, and to come down to a practical place with them, which I think is always good. It's always good to have that more of a sobering moment, right? Okay. Can I get a card for my Leos? Can I get a card for my Leos, please? Ooh, Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times. Fox to me is a very witty energy. It's very Geminian, actually. Fox to me is very quick on their feet. They could also be kind of cautious. They're very hyper aware. They're very realistic. They're very realistic. They have the full awareness of the reality of a situation, so they can maneuver. They can maneuver, they can adapt, they can manage. And this is about adaptability and trusting yourself in times of change, and where you have to be resilient as well. And you have to be aware, you have to be on your toes. You can't have your head up in the clouds, basically. You can't have unrealistic expectations. You have to be rooted in reality. So not surprising that this card is coming out here for you. So Leos, don't worry. I really feel like this is going to work out great. Again, grounding in your contracted, bonded relationships and obligations in the practical material world, and within family as well. Okay? All right. Virgo. Okay. Hi, Virgos. All right. Just making all my notes here. Ooh. Okay. Okay. You know what? This isn't gonna be too bad. Actually, I don't think Virgo is gonna be too terrible for you. Too difficult. I don't think it's gonna be too difficult for you. Mars is gonna be going through your 10th house, so this is definitely like looking down the barrel of life, and trying to deal with anything that comes up with your communication stuff, how you repress yourself, how you utilize knowledge, the follow through, all of that, and how you can better improve the path that you're walking and feel more comfortable with the path that you're walking and facing those things. So I think that's great. Also, you're going to find a lot of grounding when it comes to just like how you kind of deal with your daily life, like very Virgo-like stuff. Your daily life, health, food, that sort of deal. I do feel heavy work there, though. I do. I feel heavy work there. If you work in any industry that has to do with health or wellness, assisting, where you're taking care of details and things, really spend time focusing on work. It's grounding. It's grounding for you during this whole experience, okay? Hey, Virgo, I'm back. Sorry about that. Now, focusing on yourself, I think, is going to be also really great for you during this time. You're definitely going to have some stuff come up with relationships. No question. You're definitely going to have some fears and illusions coming up around that, stuff you've been wanting to face around relationships, past or present. even concerns about the future is something I'm also feeling for you. And when that happens, do what you do best. Be a hermit. Be a hermit and reflect on that. And then, excuse me, find grounding in what comes naturally to you, okay? Excuse me. The things that make you feel good every day, the things that make you feel balanced every day. Again, that focus on you, very, very grounding, okay? But yeah, I definitely see some stuff around relationships coming up. That's going to be probably the most challenging thing for you during this Mars retrograde. Okay. Whew. Can I get a card for Virgo, please? For Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. One more. Can I get a card for Virgo? Ooh, we got the Seer. See beyond the current situation. Remember what I was saying? It's like this Mars retrograde period of time for you is going to call into question, like, looking down at life, like, the path in life, right? Looking down the road ahead and trying to deal with things in the present that come up from Mars retrograde, communication, following through, all of that sort of stuff, right? And how to utilize that moving forward for yourself. This is like literally speaking to that. Excuse me. There is a big planning ahead energy for you in this Mars retrograde period. But even if there is like a looking forward, the grounding, the where you can find some success during this retrograde is by the present everyday stuff. Okay? Making sure you are balanced and taken care of every day. And over time, obviously, that leads into the future. Setting up really good habits now, setting you up for success later. Essentially. And again, when relationship stuff comes up, deal with it. But this Mars retrograde is about your path and setting yourself up for success. Okay? Damn, I don't know if I can get through all the signs with my throat. How many do I have left? 1, 2. Oh yeah, duh, I did half. What to do. You know what? I'll do a two-parter. Because this is also getting really long. I will do a two-parter. For Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aqua, Pisces, you guys are going to get a separate video, okay? Yeah, I gotta stop for right now. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this, and don't forget to check out Venmo, Patreon. Everything else you need is linked below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Have a really great Mars retrograde and week, night, day, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are. Okay? Take care, guys.